a fifth soldier has been killed at the Bathinda Police Station. The army says it is unrelated to the first incident at the same station yesterday, in which 4 soldiers were killed in the early hours of the morning.
A soldier has died in the Bathinda military station just hours after 4 army jawans were killed in another unit of the same army base. The army says it could be a case of suicide and that the 2 incidents are unrelated. According to the army, the soldier posted on sentry duty died of a gunshot wound. His service weapon and a cartridge case were found next to his body. While the investigation is still underway, the army says it appears to be a suicide, reiterating that it had no connection with the killing of the 4 soldiers in the artillery unit of the base.
लास्ट नाइट हमारे को लेट नाइट एक इंफॉर्मेशन मिली है कि आर्मी कैंप के अंदर वेस्टर्न कमांड का एक जवान था जो ड्यूटी के दौरान उसकी एक्सीडेंटल मौत हुई।
जो अभी इंसिडेंट हुआ था परसों 4:30 बजे सुबह, उस इंसिडेंट से क्या इसका कोई रिलेशन है? क्योंकि उसकी
ये बिल्कुल अलग से है, ना तो उनकी यूनिट है, बहुत दूर है।
But more than 2 days and counting, the masked suspects who killed the 4 army jawans at 4:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning in the sensitive and strategically important military station have still not been traced. In their joint investigation, the police and the army have recovered the INSAS assault rifle that the attackers used. The big question now, is it the same rifle that went missing from the military station a few days ago? The big question, was this an act of fratricide when the suspects shot dead fellow soldiers, or was this an attack orchestrated from outside the army base?
So search and combing operation army ਦਾ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਪਿਆ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਰਮੀ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਟੀਮ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਨਵੈਸਟੀਗੇਟਿੰਗ ਟੀਮ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੌਕੇ ਦਾ ਮੁਲਾਇਜ਼ਾ ਕੀਤਾ। ਬਾਕੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਫੋਰੈਂਸਿਕਸ ਦੀ ਟੀਮ ਡੌਗ ਸਕੁਐਡ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਨੇ ਮੌਕੇ ਦੀ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਤਫਤੀਸ਼ ਦੇ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹ ਵੈਪਨ ਆਫ ਆਫੈਂਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਮਿਲ ਗਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਔਰ ਇਹ ਵੈਪਨ ਉਹੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਵੈਪਨ ਮਿਸਿੰਗ ਵੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਆਰਮੀ ਦਾ।
Even though the police have ruled out the possibility of a terror attack, larger questions still persist. Was it a fratricidal incident? If it was an outside attack, questions now on the security of this military base. How did the weapons go missing? For now, it's been more than 2 days and 4 jawans, all in their mid-20s, lost their lives in an extremely brutal killing. And those who were behind the act have still not been arrested. With Vishnu Shom in Delhi, in Bathinda, with camera person Sushil Rathi, Vedant for NDTV.
It's very, very sad that, 5 soldiers, whatever the circumstances, have lost their lives. How do you look at these developments at the Bathinda military station?
It is very sad indeed. There is no doubt about that. Both the incident that took place yesterday and the one which was reported as a suicide today. But Vishnu, Bathinda is a very large cantonment. I would say one of the largest in the whole of Asia. And it has got a very large number of units of all arms. There is a core headquarter, and it's got a very large area, including some kind of a forest inside also, I know. These 2 incidents, I'm told, are not related. And the one which has been mentioned today is probably a suicide, but we don't know the full details yet. Even a suicide has to be taken seriously as to why it happened. The incident that took place yesterday was very sad, and it is, I would call it an aberration, and yet I would also say that this kind of incidents do take place sometimes in the cantonments. They cannot be altogether ruled out, but they have to be taken seriously by everyone, and they are taken seriously. Yeah. So there will be a court of inquiry.
Sure. General, is it your do you believe that this was internal to the army, or do you believe that there could have been an outside element?
Look, it is more likely to be an inside job. The kind of situation that has occurred, that has been reported, it could be a fratricide incident. It could be also a case of revenge against some colleagues, and yet I would not totally rule out an inspiration coming from outside. Apparently, nobody seems to have come from outside. That is very, very unlikely, but somebody can be motivated from inside, although unlikely, but I won't rule it out as yet.
You know, the FIR, sir, speaks of two people, not just one attacker. That again raises many more questions. To the best of your understanding and knowledge, has that unit accounted for all of the soldiers, in its strength?
Yeah, that is something which I do not know. You know, the first thing is how the rifle went missing. That itself would have given them some clues. Mind you, the inquiries would be going on, and whether they have been able to account for these two men, I presume they have not been able to account yet. Otherwise, you would have got the report from there. So apparently there are some people from the unit which are missing, and that has not been confirmed by the unit yet. The rifle has been found, but whether there are people missing from the unit has not been reported, yes or no in either way. So it looks to be an inside job, but those people seem to have gone into hiding after throwing their rifle away, because that would make it easier for them to hide and try and run away.
Is there no possibility, sir, that after that weapon was dropped, that these soldiers return to their unit lines and are still over there while the army goes around questioning, people of that unit, that these people could actually have integrated themselves back into that unit?
No, but that inquiry will indicate that. After all, they will be finding out from their colleagues as to what happened exactly, whether somebody went out or, came inside the barracks, etc. All those inquiries will be, the questions will be raised, and they will get to know.
Sir, two separate incidents, and again the army telling us repeatedly, look, Vishnu, don't make a parallel between one and the other. Perhaps a coincidence that it's taken place. But when a soldier commits suicide, or when there is an incident where 4 soldiers are killed in this manner, then questions need to be asked about leadership. Leadership exists in the army at all levels. It exists at the level of officers. It exists at the level of subedars and subedar majors as well. Is that something that you would be looking at as well, sir?
I am sure all these aspects that you have indicated will be looked at, because it's not such a simple matter. It's a very serious situation. But while the leadership part, the organizational aspect will be looked into as to what happened, why it happened, whether there were any precedences, whether there was a loose command and control, whether there was something lacking in relationship with the Subedar Major and the officers or amongst themselves, and why wasn't it noticed? All those aspects will be gone into when the court of inquiry takes place. But one thing I want to point out here for you and everybody else also, that ever since we have got these smartphones, people are in communication with their kith and kin at home, the anxiety and the stress level has gone up much higher. And I would also say that it has become, people have also become more sensitive to, somebody abusing them or somebody not being fair to them. And these aspects are much more happening today than they were in my time, for example. And the command and control, the leadership today is a lot more difficult than it was in my time. But having said that, I know for sure that all these aspects are also being taken into, and when these inquiries take place, they will go into all these aspects. So the leadership today has become more difficult, particularly when you have Jawans living alone, whether it is a peace area or a field area. In fact, it is worse when the people are. So while this incident has taken place, and I'm sure it will be gone into details, but I think we have to be patient also, and I'm sure the army will take appropriate measures after learning the lessons, after finding out what happened and learning the lessons.
All right, General Malik, thank you very much, sir, for joining us, sharing your thoughts at this very tragic set of events which has taken place at the Bathinda Military Station. Thanks very much, sir, indeed.
Thank you very much.